maximum. All right.
My name is Abina Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Bokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Tonight, we're going to continue our topic, Boakai da Bebe, right here on Friday Night Debate. And the premise of that is a long time or some time ago, Mother Noai Gotolo popularized Boakai da Bebe to mean that Boakai is he grew up, he's a cannibal, people shouldn't ask him for stuff. Over time, people have come, especially supporters of President Boakai, anytime he did something remarkably well, they say Boakai na Bebe to prove that. So tonight we're going to be looking at the question, Boakai da Bebe, what the inactions or actions of President Joseph Jomaah Boakai say about his leadership. Let me welcome Mr. Aliyu Samba Kamara, a strong Boakai supporter who will be answering the question if Boakai is baby. Welcome, Aliyu.
Thank you, Dennis, and I'm ready.
Let me also welcome our political analyst, Mr. J. Victor Nambi. Mr. Nambi, welcome.
Thank you, Dennis. It's good to be here.
Also, let me welcome Father Elijah B. Washington. Welcome, sir. Father Washington, maybe he's still spending time with the Lord. Let me bring in Mr. Abu Boakai Dukle. Welcome, Mr. Dukle.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good, and you can adjust your body muscle. Right. We want to see the six-pack. Let me also, Father Washington, are you good now? Okay, we lost Father Washington right there. So, first of all, I want to say welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for coming. You know, we had a gentleman agreement so we can have the show tonight. So thank you so much for living up to our gentleman agreement. Well, as I said, some time ago, Mother Noai Gotolo talked about Boakai da Bebe. And that was against the backdrop because people were asking for where Boakai got the money from to do X, Y, Z. So before we even go forward, let's listen to the mother once more to get the comment.
Boakai na Bebe, Boakai get money. Yeah, you got your first man. You got your first man.
Oh.
You got first case.
So just a jacket to ask Boakai where you got the money from? If that is for.
Yes. You don't got no right to ask Boakai da Bebe. Huh?
But now president, anything do people sort of know the plane get the money from?
No,
No, Boakai not baby. So over time, what happened is people are saying, well, if President Boakai comes to power, he is not going to behave like Josh Weah, who, according to them, was being pushed around, who was a rookie, who did not hit the ground running, who didn't know anything about the presidency, who was governing through trial and error. In fact, people accuse his state minister of state of pulling by the nose, so to say, where everything is too McGill. So President Boakai was supposed to be different, and that's why when he brought we heard stories about the machines, the people who were cheering him say Boakai da baby. So tonight I want us to look at it within that context. If you believe that President Boakai for the past 5+ months is doing the right thing, is making the right decisions, is not being pulled by the nose, it's not a pushover, is not making rookie mistakes, then he's not baby. If you think otherwise, then he is. So let's get started. Again, thank you for coming. Let me start with Pastor Father Washington. And my question is, in context, Boakai da baby, your intro.
Well, I think President Boakai, chronologically, he might not be a baby, but his decisions manifest somebody who seems not to know what he's doing. So for me, in that context, I would think he's a baby. He's behaving like a baby because some of his actions are manifestation of somebody who is incompetent.
Yeah, Father Washington, you got to check your connection. I don't know if you're using computer. We are losing you. Let me also welcome Mr. Patrick Kennedy, who introduced himself as the Beyond the Door analyst. Beyond the Door analyst, Patrick, welcome. Let me go to Mr. Kamara. Mr. Kamara, Boakai da baby.
Yeah, but while Washington getting Metro PC internet, they get better internet in the place. But Boakai not baby. You have to answer your question. It's not baby at all.
Why?
All right. Look, we have a government that is comprising of several institutions, the executive branch of government specifically. Since Boakai took over as president, we've not had any issue at the airport, the Rabas International Airport. Airplanes are coming safely without any complaints. We do not mention those things. As we speak, except for Metex and the other thing at the free port of Monrovia, there have been no issue from customers to the public against the free port of Monrovia for bar administrative practice. Those things are going on. We see police and civilian relationship becoming stronger by the day. As we speak, police vehicles are coming. The police and the community, I mean, there will always be a problem here and there. We're not mentioning those wonderful things. We can name several things as we speak. People can drive from Gunter straight to Harper the same day. It is unprecedented. It hasn't happened in a long time. All of these have happened within 6 months period. Now we're talking about one yellow machine. Yeah, we see exuberance, we see anxiety, we see some level of anxiousness. However, we see one yellow machine crisis. And then we want to conclude that Boakai is because of one issue. As far as appointments and all of the other stuff, those are the political aspects of it. And I can only say that every leader has his or her own style of leadership. So what's happening with assets recovery and what's happening with appointment, all of that, the ANC people on here and some of the citizens that will come later can use that as a little tool to work with, but we are looking at the bigger picture. So there's no way how Boakai are proven to be a baby.
Thank you. Father Washington, you were in flight, but we couldn't hear you.
Is it from me?
Yeah,
Yes.
you get Metro PC internet.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. If it happens again, I'll have to change my device. But I was saying that Boakai, I mean, before he came to the presidency, he told her that he has 40 years of public service. But his manifestation, his action, things that he's doing, for me, it does not show like somebody who's been 40 years of public service. He keeps making a lot of mistakes. And one of the things I hear his supporters are saying that, oh, the president has not break any law. Come on. We don't just live by established law. We live by society norms. We live by institutions. And, so when you make a decision that's going to affect our institutions, then you're not doing the right thing. You're not following the right path. So these are the actions. I mean, we can start from the quote unquote yellow machines. We can go to the buses. We can go to where there are a lot of things that he's been doing that shows that. For me, I think he's a baby. He's not showing leadership. And I think his actions, particularly the letter that he just sent a couple of days.
Yeah, we're having the same issue again, Father Washington.
That shows that I think
we're having the same issue, Father Washington. You can maybe switch your device. Let me go to Mr. Dukley. Mr. Dukley, President Boakai ran on the mantra of being the experienced statesman. 42 years, some people will say 25. Based on what we've seen so far, Boakai da baby?
I think that's a very simplistic way of looking at something as tangible as governance or something as important as running a nation. Boakai is not a child, but with the fanfare that he came to power with all the enthusiasm people had, with the accumulation of political experience that he has had over the years, it was just so. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying that he's the child. I know that's just a term they use to represent something else, but some of the decisions and some of the things that occurred, particularly when he talks about the 100 days deliverables and the things that happened and some of the things that he said and did not really represent, it did not come to bear those number of years of experience we were all talking about. And I think when people talk about he not being a child, people are coming from that sort of understanding. For someone who is as seasoned politically as he is, some of these things should have come in handy, at least from what we expected. But to our disappointment, some of those decisions were just so dismal to the point where you would have expected that from somebody who is a rookie or who is a political newcomer. And so I wouldn't go as far as saying that he's a child, but we know for a fact that many decisions that were made initially when he took over, those did not come across as someone who is politically experienced as we thought he is.
Thank you. Mr. Nabwe.
Yes, I couldn't agree more with my colleagues except Mr. Kamara. I think the definition of a baby as we know it would be someone who is not in charge of decisions that are being made, affecting them. So you can tell a baby when to go to bed, even if they're not ready to go to bed. Yeah, you can tell them it's your bedtime. You can go to the store and the baby will point to a backpack and you tell them, no, that backpack doesn't look good. And you get them a different one. And, they'll throw a little tantrum, but they'll settle with it. I think that is the definition of a baby on whose behalf decisions are being made. I think the president has a grand vision for the country, but almost all of the major decisions are being made on his behalf, from all indications. I mean, the biggest of them was the appointment, the vetting and appointments. That should be a very simple and basic thing. The president struggled. He eventually punted that to the Senate, to the legislature. He surrendered it to Dillon and Yomli Kanga. A simple thing as that. They set up a committee to be headed by the same people who were supposed to nominate and confirm these people. That was a mistake. Yeah. I mean, there is a host of other mistakes that this president has made. But in recent times, I think the whole saga with the earth-moving equipment, it appears the president is not also in charge. And, I don't know why. This presentation was made at a retreat by this deputy minister and apparently in consultation with the minister of state. I don't know. Everybody applauded. And then ever since then, there has been drip, 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 drip. So they brought, I think, 30 pieces or so, or some amount of them into the country. How they were brought in is unclear. The legislature finally decided to invite the minister so that he will provide clarifications. And what does the president do? He circumvents the process. You know, he writes a letter that even leaves a lot more questions
Yes.
than answers.
Yeah.
You know, a friend made a gift that
And we'll,
does
come,
not.
we'll come to the letter specifically. Let's
Yes.
hear the conclusion.
So, but from all indications, you understand me, I think the president has a grand vision for the country, but I think he struggles with the day-to-day grind, just the mundane things, just the day-to-day implementation. I think he struggles. And it appears that he is not the one calling the day-to-day shots, and therefore you can then say that his style of administration will equate him to a baby. I don't think he's running things.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Friday Night Debate. Our topic, Boakai da Bebe, what the actions or inactions of President Boakai say about his leadership almost 6 months into his presidency. So you all of you spoke about the earth moving equipment. So let's talk about that. If you watch the chronicle of event, the way things unfolded, we saw first it was at a retreat when we heard this.
Minister Christie, Minister Geddes, and myself attended a virtual turnover of 285 earth moving equipment a few weeks ago. The purpose of this equipment is to bring the president's vision of no car will get stuck in modern life and bring back the.
That was from the Deputy Minister, Mamaka Belete. Then came the president himself.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the president wanted to visit.
I think we can talk about agriculture all day. But you have to get there. You have to be able to go there. We have rich soil, but they're not accessible. These machines, they even proposed they wanted to put my photo on there. I said, no, just put that thing Liberia, love Liberian.
As President Boakai talking about the machine. Later on, there was some clarification from the MICAT boss. So, just yesterday, we all saw this letter, and from informing, because we have not been able to get clarity. So this is the letter that came from the president to the House of Representatives. Say, let me first and foremost assure you and members of the legislature that we are scrupulously pursuing the acquisition process for this machine, guided by the principle of transparency and good faith. And where did it come from? He said this initiative originated from a conversation between me and a longtime friend who shares a commitment to the arrest agenda. This friend was moved by the spirit of solidarity and a strong desire to participate in the implementation. And in the shortest possible time of our development agenda, he offered to provide equipment in good faith and on a gentleman's agreement. If you go down, he said, please note, negotiation phase. We are currently in the negotiation phase. No formal agreement or contract has been signed with any party. The discussions are ongoing and no financial commitment has been made by the government of Liberia and not a dime paid. So he went on and on. He said, in summary, there is no contract or agreement at this moment that requires legislative ratification. We are committed to monitoring open lines of communication with the legislature through this process. Once we have a formal agreement and CIF value, we will engage the national legislature consistent with our work. That's the letter from Father Washington.
This is this. I mean, you were president, you were an embodiment of the people, and then you were talking about gentleman agreement. Why would a president be engaged in gentleman agreement? If you're not the president of Republic of Liberia, for God's sake, you cannot be engaged into gentleman agreement. We have institutions that are supposed to be doing that. So why are you engaged into gentleman agreement? You talk about about transparency. The fact that it's even your friend tells us that there's something not going right. And you come to lie to the people and tell them that you're going, it's a gentleman agreement. I mean, this is shameful. I think the president needs to apologize. If he's wrong, he's wrong. And you said no dime of the country money has not been used. The country space has been used. The resources of the country have been used. It might not be it might not necessarily be maybe you pay some money, but our resources have been used. It's in our barracks. Our ports have been used. Our people who work, who supposed don't have conflicts of interest, are working to make sure that these machines are guarded. So for me, I just think that letter is just shameful. I think the president knows he has made a mistake. Come back and say, I'm sorry. I'm not proceeding the right way, and forgive me. I will do the right thing now that the whole thing has come to the public. So, I mean, just like I said last time, just business as usual. People keep still do the same old thing all the time. This is not leadership for me.
So based on the letter, he's a baby.
He's a baby.
And we also got a report that the Freeport manager informed the authorities to free this. Hey, charge this to the government account, right? So to free that, so that's money that was spent. If that information is true, Mr. Nabe, let's look at the letter. What does that say about the leadership of President Boakai?
Yeah, but here's a question I'll ask: the librarian board, baby. You take the yellow machines, you parade them through the town, right? From the Freeport all the way to BDC with all the fanfare. And you want to tell us that this is still in a negotiation stage. I find that hard to believe. You know, that's one. Two, look, all of us here, we've all bought, major equipment, like car. The moment you take delivery of that car, it begins to depreciate. So they're telling us that they brought these machines, and if it doesn't work out, they will return them again. Librarian Porter Baby, And what about what you just said? You said it doesn't cost the government anything, but here is what you're revealing from your investigation. Obviously, there are duty fees associated with such an import. So obviously, that is also going to cause us, of course, not to mention, the fact that these things are in BTC and they have to deploy people to man them and keep them safe. Who's paying these people? So there are a whole host of questions. So, the letter is proclaiming transparency, but I think the whole process is anything but. There has not been any transparency associated with this. So I think the letter, like I said, I think we would probably done better without that letter. Now the letter leaves a lot of questions. This president, what kind of friend? Look, when did this president become the president's friend? When he became, I don't know. I don't know. But once you are the president of the Republic of Liberia, anything given to you of that magnitude, where is the code of conduct? $200-300 or so, it has to be reported. So this equipment that this president is claiming his friend gave him, and they're bringing it to what? To test it out? I don't know. What would be the business for rejecting it if it doesn't function? Because he has already put in a request for what? $54 million, right? To begin the payment. That sounds to me like an agreement that has already been concluded. So, I think the letter really, to me, it didn't do us any good. And therefore, I would say, the president, an experienced administrator, is acting like a baby. He's putting a hood over our heads and trying to do what? To an attempt at explaining the process. I think that letter did more harm than if it had been left unexplained. So, we'll see. Look, the intent is good. I'm not going to deny that. Our people need that kind of thing. What concerns us is the lack of transparency associated with this. And I know we'll drill deeper, but $54 million could have probably paid for all of the 285 pieces of equipment. If it costs that, even at $200,000, right? Which is not. If it is $175,000, which is even too high, You do the math, you get around, $49, $50 million. But I think the report is they brought 30 pieces, and all of them may not have even been yellow machines. So, what is the request for the 54 million? Those are the questions that people are concerned with. What are the terms of this? How much are we paying for these things? How long is the loan going to last us? All right, Mr. Kamara wants to come in. I'll give him the floor.
Mr. Kamara, the president said he didn't pay a dime. And that
Yes,
statement does not seem
that
to be
statement is
accurate.
misleading. It's misleading for several factors based on what you just said alone.
Even if you
Dennis.
said, yes, sir.
I'm not going to indulge in any complexification of a simple matter. What I would tell you here is that the Liberian people want the machine. We work for the Liberian people. The rest of the machines are coming for the purpose of agriculture and road network, and that's what's going to happen.
Is that for the Washington had what, cricket or whatever? You're not. We can't hear you, Mr. Kamara.
Mr. Kamara, are you frozen?
He's frozen.
What?
Mr. Kamara, can you hear us? Not quite.
Can you hear me?
All right, now you start.
I don't know what's going on now. Maybe Father Washington prove my stuff.
All right.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes, go ahead. You said there's a process established to acquire these things. You are saying it doesn't matter whether the process. Is that what you're saying?
Like I said, complexification at this particular time in a simple matter, I'm not going to worry about. What I am telling you is we have bumped this thing, we have hammered this thing, we talked about it. JMB that I know is going to bring this machine in. These machines are going to work for the Liberian people. That's what he was elected to do. And the people support the machine, and that's what we're going to do.
All right, let me you can reset your phone. We are not hearing you. Let me go to Mr. Dukley. Dukley, you heard the letter.
Yeah, Dennis, this is part of some of the thing that really bothers me personally. There is an established way government functions. This, first of all, I mean, since when the president is the one leading this whole process of acquiring these earth-moving machines? Like, look, Dennis, this is part of the thing that is wrong with the political culture of Liberia, where you have business people who are, I don't know, they bring in businesses to Liberia. They go and meet the president of the republic to talk. Somebody opening a plantation in Grand Bassa County, you got to go and meet the president. So, but the manner in which this whole yellow machine thing has manifested itself, it just goes to speak to some of the things I was speaking about earlier, where for somebody as experienced as Joseph Boakai is, and to see the way this whole saga, I want to call it that, to see the way it's all unfolding, it's just like Brother Nagbe said, I think they would have been better off without this letter, because the letter has raised more questions than it has answered the previous questions we had in mind.
What are those questions?
Some of the questions are, how in the world that the president will actually say that they are still in negotiation? I mean, at this stage, and this letter was dated, I think, July 9 or something. And we heard about these machines. These machines were paraded sometime in early May. And now we are in July. You're telling us that they are still in negotiation? Come on. And to say that no money was, I mean, Dennis, there are just multitude of questions that are coming from this letter here. I think Brother Nangwe rightly said, this letter has done more damage than they themselves had anticipated. So the way, again, then like I said, since when the president of the republic will talk about a gentleman agreement? Since when? Is that something that he's supposed to be doing? Gentleman agreement? For God's sake, he represents the Republic of Liberia. He's the president of the Republic of Liberia. But again, like I said, it has a lot to do with our political culture that Boakai inherited, or in some way Boakai had to create over the years. Where you have the president involved in every minute thing that goes on. I mean, where is the minister responsible for the procurement of this equipment? And what are the due diligence that were put in place to make sure that the proper procedure is followed? Or is there any established procedure? We don't know. I mean, because from the way I see things unfolding, Dennis, we know from practice the way these things are done. I mean, it's very disturbing to see this happening on the watch of someone.
To be fair to him, he said, so the gentleman agreement can be in the initial stages, right? This thing later on is going to be contracted, right? So at this time,
yes.
So that's it. It is not finalized through gentleman agreement.
I know. But for me, I have issue with the term itself to start with. This is not. I mean, the term gentleman agreement.
It happens all the time. Gentleman agreement happen all the time.
It does, but not in cases like what we are talking about here, where you got who's going to be paying for it, whether it's contracted or not. It's the Republic of Liberia who's going to be paying for it through the taxpayers and our money that we're going to borrow, or whatever donors they're going to give us. So I don't think that the term gentleman agreement is in place here to begin with, at least from my perspective. That's one. The second thing is, we are now in July and telling them that you are still in negotiation. So on what basis were these machines brought in to begin with? What if there's something that doesn't match what we want? Are they going to return them back? And if so, who's going to pay for returning this machine? I mean, I don't know. But from my perspective, I think there are just so many unanswered questions that this letter has raised, Dennis.
Dennis, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let me go back to Aliu. And he addressed that, right? He said in point 4, he said, should the negotiation fail to yield a mutual beneficial agreement, the supplier retains the right to reclaim the equipment. Underline the word reclaim. He may choose to sell them within the Liberian market or export them. This ensures that the GOL is not financially burdened or contractually bound. Mr. Kamara, please make your point here. Are you saying the end justifies the means? It really doesn't matter how these things play out as long as the equipments are good for agriculture and road network? Who cares the process? Is that what you're saying?
What I am saying is I have a president in whom I trust. I believe in his decision making. I know for a fact that he will not burden unnecessarily the Liberian people. I know that if we need roads, and which we do, we don't expect to get roads for free. So somebody will say, who's going to pay for it? Who do you expect to pay for it? My uncle? The country has to pay for it either way. Now, one of my biggest problems is, trying to elevate speculations based on mere feelings. In that letter, it clearly says that there have been no agreement reached. He also said that once they come up with an agreement, he will consult and work with the legislature. Until then, we are only expressing mere opinions, and we can't believe our opinions to be facts when there is no evidence of fact, when there is no piece, a tool that you can use to defend your opinion except for how you feel. So as it stands, I am waiting for the day that the president officially, and that is why, you see, that's one of the reasons why I respect Joseph Boakai. He completely thwarted the whole thing about bringing a government official to them to explain about something that he has not reached to them about, just because of public opinions. And therefore, Joe Boakai is like, listen, until I come to you, you don't, my ministers and and other people are not obligated to answer anything there because I have not told you anything. So wait for me. That's what that letter means.
Okay. So the fact that we have already taken delivery of the equipment, does that suggest to you that negotiations still going on?
This is what the president said. And remember, we have laws in that country. He has put himself on a line to say there is still negotiation ongoing. Okay, so he is in charge of the port. He is in charge of the airport, the seaport, the land, everything. He is in charge. If he brings something, he said, he is in my care. Who is in charge is in my care. I will come to you, wait for me, and you say you can't wait, ma. Make me ready. Okay.
But the president is not king, right? This is a government institution. We have different people doing different things. You were saying,
I'm talking about Liberian law.
Yeah, you are saying we should just trust his judgment that he's not going to do anything bad.
Okay, he has told you, based on his right as president of the Republic of Liberia, he's the one controlling the free port of Monrovia. Things came in, they are in his possession. He will come to you. Then it's wait for him.
What you mean? He controlling the free port of Monrovia?
But the executive branch of the government controls the free port of Monrovia.
What does that control mean?
Hey man, Dennis, man. Can we go to the definition of what is it again?
Yeah, because if there is something that you bring in, you're supposed to pay at the port. Because you are president, you say
who are you supposed to pay to? The executive. And it is the same chief of the executive who is telling you, I will come to you. You guys are complexifying something that is just simple.
No.
It's not that simple, Aliyu.
Aliyu, no, let me understand this. So you're saying if the president, anything comes in the country, the president can decide for that thing to be charged or not charged.
Well, anything.
We have a law to pay duty at the port. So the president can decide, okay, this other one is for me. Don't pay.
Well, anything, I will scratch out anything. But what I am telling you here is that in this scenario, the president said clearly, I am the one who is arranging for these things. This thing did not just come out of the blue sky and I say wave it. He said, and he gave you a whole letter. And there's a process with these things. Once those fees are waived for now, and this arrangement fails, all liabilities go back to the owner of the company. If it doesn't fail, if it works, then of course the president did waive the fees. So it's not just a black and white something in this case. So what I would urge you guys to do, and listen, let me remind you something. Most people always say the men are in charge. The men are in charge. This letter shows you that he's in charge.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, Father Elijah Washington, are we okay now?
Yeah, I don't know what's happening to our internet.
All right. So we still are not sure because President Boakai did not mention who the friend is and where these are coming from, right?
It'll be the detail. Yeah.
It's not his private company. This is the whole country, Mr. Kamara. So there are allegations that maybe HPX may have something to do with it. Is that something? Because they say anytime wherever there is no ERBC, they say take over, right?
But then let me just say this. I found point you just made. Everybody that arguing about the wrong that Boakai has done, they have not been able to point something out in the law to prove that Boakai is wrong. Everybody only expressing opinion. Let someone show me exactly what Boakai violated.
What about single sourcing this whole process?
No, but they have not.
What does the PVC say?
They say they are discussing.
Discussing what? Look, ever since you were a baby in Liberia, whenever you make a proposal, they always tell you to bring pro forma info from at least 2 places. At least 2.
Yes.
There's a reason for that.
Okay, so in short, that gave us something that proves that Boakai wrong. I mean, Boakai broke law.
No,
that's all we're asking for.
Hold on. Let somebody talk.
The reason why you must bring in at least 2 pro forma invoices is because
we know all that one. Get all reference. What Boakai?
You want to get a value for money, right? You want to make sure you're paying the right price. And I think this is important for a country that is strapped for money. I think just the simple matter of bringing at least 2 or so quotes from at least 2 different sources, to me, that would have helped the process. But I don't think that was done. We don't even have a quote for this machine. So I don't know what is it that the president is negotiating. We don't know what they're going to cost us. And Mr. Kamara is going to sit here and tell us that it is okay. Yeah, I understand the president says he's still negotiating, but he has already put in a request for over $50 million.
Yeah, but Brother Nangwe, this is part of the problem that is wrong with our political culture. And we have now come to normalize that kind of way of doing things. I mean, since when the president is going to be the one negotiating with the supplier.
Exactly. It's a democracy, and this is why the framework of the Constitution did it the way they did. 3 equal branches of government must work in consonance with one another.
Exactly. So why do you have the cabinet? Why do you have... Look, I think, personally for me, I think part of the objective of all of this is to enable them to be able to get a kickback in a way that they will be able to justify whatever kickback that comes along with this deal. Because, I mean, since when the president is the one involved in acquiring supply for the... I mean, it's just crazy. But we have come to accept this way of doing things as normal when it's not normal.
Thank you. That brings me to another thing that... So, Father Washington, if you want to add, then we move on, because there are other things. We want to talk about the buses. We want to talk about Western Cluster, and we want to talk about HPX and see, what the government is doing and whether that makes Boakai a baby or not.
Yeah, I just want to contribute. I listened to my brother, Mr. Kamara, and the argument is that what law I say broken? That's the big questions I hear all his supporters are asking. We don't just live by established law. We live by societal norm. We live by principle. We live by fairness. We live by accountability. We live by ethics. If you as a president begin to engage in an action that does not seems to be credible, or it does not show signs of being clear, I mean, we should question that. And that's where we are. We're not saying that it's not by law, but ethically what he's doing is wrong. If the president, by law, he can, if he lies to all, we say, oh, it's not in the law, that he's breaking the law. But he has lied to us as a president. And that's morally wrong. And that's why we condemn that. That's why we say he needs to apologize. Now, you said this is you're still in a negotiation process, but you have the person's property is in your possession. Why is it in your possession? Why are you keeping it in your possession? You say you go marry a woman, you take the woman for the woman, you say, oh, okay, I'm paying for it, but you get the woman stay in your house. Why are you staying there?
And you tattoo your face all over the woman. Then
yes, but still, you stay arranging. You stay arranging with it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And that's why I'm saying the person is just proceeding wrongly. He has made a mistake. He needs to apologize and let's move on. This whole justification does not work. The end does not justify the means. I keep saying that. But they can say he has not broken any law. He has not broken any law. We don't just live by established law. In the first place, we are moral beings. We live in a society. We live by societal norms. And when you don't abide by these societal norms and culture, then you're not doing the right thing. Even though it might be legally right, but ethically it's not right. And that's why we are condemning his action.
Thank you. Aliyu, you were on fire.
Yeah, they gotta make me laugh. Again, I can struggle. Maybe I'm not too sensitive, but I can struggle with people just expressing feelings as opposed to the real thing. Liberia would say it's not a country of men. You just said that Boakai is not king. Then when we say, okay, we're going by the law, it can't be by, it don't got to be by law. It got to be by, see. So again, where do we put this? Wherever we put this, those who oppose will come up with another way. Now, I will remind you one thing. This country, LRB, has to be developed. Any way how we can do it to develop this country. We know the country is polarized. Everybody's politician. When you go to university, high school, middle school, elementary school, everybody. So at this particular point in time, you just do what you're supposed to do. Let them say.
Let me just add one more point. It's almost like the man is married to a woman.
Why you always got to go to a woman? You let woman be there?
Yeah, I like women. So,
you like woman business?
No, mind. So the woman is they are married, eh? So the woman is praying to God. She's wishing that she would get pregnant and have a child with her husband. She's been praying for 4-5 years. She's eager to have this child. An armed robber comes in their house and he rapes the woman. The woman gets pregnant. So from his perspective now the woman is pregnant, so the armed robber's action is justifiable because the woman is pregnant. This is
I don't know where that one came from because it doesn't connect to anything.
It connects. Where it does is that me explain how it connects. Should I explain to you how it connects? You're taking action, you're going the wrong way, but because you think that people want the machine, everybody wants this thing to happen, so it makes it to be. Because you just said that this country we have gone through all this, we can fix this country, and any way we're going to fix this country, that's the way. That's not how things work. It's not because we need it, so you must go in a way that is criminal.
Okay, if it's criminal, then you must break the law. Tell what the law was that was broken.
The law, according to Anthony Konyene.
Hold
on. About you have heard of the PPCC law, right? How to procure something. If you want to procurement, you want to buy something. There's a process to go through.
But he didn't buy anything.
So what is he doing with this equipment?
He has not bought anything.
What is the intention to buy them?
Okay, now we're discussing intention again. Now go to the bosses.
No. What is he trying to do? Is it give? It's not give, okay. Right?
But trying to do one thing and to procure something are two different things. Trying to and procure, they are two different things.
So at what point in the procurement process will he go by the law?
When he is ready, he just read a letter. When he is ready, he will come to you guys. Remember, there are budgets under the Department of Public Works. There are budget in the road funds. They are all budget he can tap into. He also has his presidential funds that he can tap into. All of that he got to do it through the legislature. He's going to tell you how he has decided to procure these things. Wait for that time, please.
Why is it in his possession? Why is it in our country's possession?
But Ali, under the procurement rule, this is not how it should be done.
Why is it in our possession?
But if so,
there is an established procedure in the procurement act.
Okay, then you go to court.
All right. Thank you.
Before we go, let me just say this quickly. I think the president is he's making a political play. He knows we badly need the machines. He knows there will become public sentiment if he brings the machine and parades them through the street of Monrovia. And therefore, I think he's making a play that even though we may not know the cost of this, but because the people will rise up against the legislature, they'll be forced to approve this contract, no matter how much it costs. And I think that is wrong. I think there is a lack of transparency that I think everybody is talking about. I don't think Mr. Kamara is I think he's misunderstanding the argument. Nobody is saying that Liberia needs development on many levels.
Yeah.
But it has to be done right. It has to be done properly. So he brought the machine, and our people will go and stand and force the legislature and bully them into approving whatever agreement that comes later. So he's reverse engineering the whole process.
That's where experience comes in.
Then you go to the legislature and give them a bill that they will not refuse because the pressure will be on them, and then will be forced to overpay for this. I think that's where the concern is.
Correct.
The sad thing about that is we have a lot of examples where we brought in machines, we brought in cars, and they became white elephant projects.
Different administrations.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the Messiah mentality.
You were about to find out. Let's give it a chance.
we also have, and I want also bring to your attention that HPX is seeking 80 acres of land in the port of Buchanan. So, and the reason for that, to use approximately 80 acres of NPA-owned land for phase 1 of its iron ore transshipment project. Remember, and that's why since things are not transparent, there are allegations, there are speculations that HPX may have something to do with it. There's no source. I told my reporters are investigating that as I'm speaking to you to get to the bottom of it. But the same HPX, before the WIA government could go out, they say, hey, take the 30 million from us, even though it was almost through a memorandum of understanding. And the we administration was being criticized, say, hey, you don't do things through MOU. It got to be a law. Now, President Boakai has taken this a step forward, further, and not MOU, but gentleman's agreement. So let's look at HPX, Western Cluster. Remember when President Boakai came and stopped Western Cluster transporting through the city? That has been lifted. So, well, government restore Western Cluster road user right. So they can use that now with the to give 200,000 to maintain the road. So when it comes to the way we are dealing with these concessions, HPX, Western Cluster, and all that, how do you see Boakai?
You talking to me?
Western Cluster also, yes, go ahead. Talk about Western Cluster and HPX.
Yeah, Western Cluster deal, I'm kind of flabbergasted about Western Cluster operation. I really at this point would like to hear something. I think what happened with the Western Cluster thing, something needs to happen. The president or his public work minister has to be put under some level of pressure to actually explain to the Liberian people as to what happened with the Western Cluster, what's happening with the Western Cluster, because it doesn't make sense to drive iron ore, hundreds of tons of iron ore on a simple bridge and do it for a whole year, 2 year round and expect that bridge to still be solid. There is no other way to get to Borovia except through that bridge. If something should happen to that bridge, that means nobody goes to Cape Mount, nobody comes to the Cape Mount unless we go back to the Asian days where they put canoe on the river and people start to cross that canoe, which would be devastating. So I think something poor in terms of administration was done regarding that deal. HPS, I don't really know as to what happened. The president had a meeting with them in the executive mansion. They vowed to increase their investment in the country. There have been no official document turned to sent to the legislature for some review and ratification. So I think with these are arguments we can really make, because something is not right. I don't know the whole deal, the whole detail of HPS, but I think something needs to be done about this thing. I think the president and his entourage must explain as to how some of these things going. But as far as Western Cluster is concerned, I don't see any reason why they should be allowed to function if they have not met 10% of whatever they agreed to. So I'm not with the government on this one.
Okay, maybe Sam Wallow can help you. He said President Boakai got Western Cluster to commit to a $2 billion 5-year investment in Liberia.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me.
All right, and the sense, and when people hear about this deal that they are investing $2 billion, as if they come and give out $2 billion, that would be their operation. But let me hear from you, Mr. Namwe, on Western Cluster, HPS, and other concessions on how President Boakai is doing. Is he behaving like a baby, or is the actual 42-year experienced public servant? On mute, please.
You're muted.
Unmute your phone. Unmute yourself, Victor.
I'm sorry. No, I was saying here, we all, we commended the president when he raised this righteous indignation against, Western Cluster, threatening to shut them down. We're really I'm one of those who applauded him for that. And then he restored it for a commitment, not even an upfront, but a commitment to later expend $200,000. So I'll be interested to read where Mr. Wallow has this $2 billion commitment. I like to see the details of it. What it is supposed to do. But quite frankly, I don't think we're getting our money's worth out of Western Cluster from all the indications that are available to us. And so when the president restored them, I was shocked. And not to mention all the other stuff that's been coming out lately about current government functionaries, legislators, and other people, who seem to be benefiting from this whole deal. I think one of the deputy speaker, or if I'm not mistaken, what, four point something $1 million or something like that. He's a businessman, but isn't there a conflict of interest somewhere in there? I mean, isn't the legislature the one that's supposed to ratify this deal with Western Cluster? So this president really, like I said, it looks to me like his heart
I
is in
think,
it.
I think you're making a mistake.
Yeah, please correct me, Mr. Kamara.
Okay, the agreement between Western Cluster and the government has already been ratified. The government and Western Cluster already have a contract. Remember, the executive branch of government is responsible to enforce that contract. That's where they mess up. So it has nothing to do with the legislature. What just happened?
No, but the point I'm making is the president, upon reviewing the benchmarks associated with this contract, got upset that none of these benchmarks had been reached by Western Cluster. It was the business on which he expressed his anger and threatened to shut it down. That's what I said. So, what is it that wasn't done that $200,000 could do? That's why I need to understand. Even if they promise to invest $2 billion, are you telling me 200,000? That's like 1% of what they plan to put into this. For all the damage that they're doing to the people, the road, imagine all of the dust and all of that associated, coming out of these things that the people along the road are suffering. All of that, I'm sure there will be health consequences that these people are going to experience later on. So I believe all of these things were built into the contract. If they weren't, the president was rightly upset. But in no time, the operation was restored. And again, did he understand the contract well? Was he satisfied? What is it that pleased him and led to him restoring, the operation? I don't know. So that was that. We said that. The HPX, I think the HPX guys were the first to visit the president in the mansion, if I'm not mistaken, some multi-billion-dollar, I think 5 or so. I'm not sure that they said they were going to pump into the economy. That was, I think, back in February or so when they visited the executive mansion. I'm not sure. I haven't heard from them yet. I don't know exactly, but yes, there are reports that they may have been one way or other associated with the earth moving equipment. Again, I haven't read that anywhere yet, but the reports there, the speculation is there that they may have influenced the coming to the country. And again, this is why there are all these calls for the president to make public how this process, the machines are being procured, for which he's now asking the legislature to appropriate over $50 million.
Mr. Father Washington.
I mean, with the whole Western cluster D, I'm not quite familiar with the entire thing, except that I listened to the president about his outburst, which I think was just understanding. Because if he was really angry about what Western cluster was doing at this time, I don't expect it to even be working, or something should have been improved. I don't see anything that's improved, and the same. So why is he not talking about it again? Why is he just sitting there allowing them to do the same thing? So these politicians, that's what they do. When they get out there, they just show the people, oh, this is not going to happen in our country again in our leadership. But when they go into their rooms and somebody comes and talks to them, and they just change their minds, and they don't come back to the people and tell them what is going on. So for me, it doesn't change anything that she's doing. For the one way for the purchase of the acres of land in the Bikina area, if that's something for me, I read the story, but I don't really know all the details, because when I read the story, it didn't say what exactly are the details about that arrangement. So we wait to see what is going to happen. But for the Western Coast, I think that's something that's been happening for a long time, and nothing has changed about it. So that shows us that this president is not even serious about the actions that we thought he would be taking by this time, but nothing has changed. So it's the same.
Mr. Dukley. Father Washington is getting dark you're in Liberia?
I don't want to leave and turn my light on, because I was using so maybe I just leave and turn the light on.
Yeah. Mr. Dukley, please unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. the fact that Ali Kamara will have issue with this one tells you where we are with this one. Simply because, again, it's the same political culture I was referring to earlier, and the fact that the details has not been spelled out in the way we expected goes to speak to some of the things that they don't want us to know about. And you see, Dennis, if you look at the history of all these agreements that our government have been entering into to talk about the $2 billion whatever they're going to do, usually when they get their kickbacks and whatever it is that they get from these contracts, everything else that was supposed to be enforceable in those contracts become secondary. Now the concern what is in it for them. But I mean, this Western cluster thing is not new. Why is it that up to date nobody can tell you exactly what is it this whole deal is about? And then this is why the speculation that Western cluster might be behind the yellow machine. These are some of the reasons that it's enforcing that speculations. And why is it that nobody is coming out to quell them or deny them or speak to them? Obviously, I'm not in any way suggesting that these are speculations are true, but you can see why people want to believe them, and because of the way our government operates, their inability to be transparent in terms of the details of these agreements create room for this speculation to surface. And this is how, like you said rightly, when ELBC is absent, of course they will give way to and because people are eager. And when people are eager and they cannot get the information as they wish, of course they will speculate. And so what is I mean, you go to ask yourself, what was Boakai thinking? This is supposed to be a seasoned politician. This is, I mean, all the laws on the book when it comes to procurement, how these contracts should be carried about. None of it has been followed. None. Just because somebody can just pick up the phone and say, I want to meet the president. Okay, the president is now on board. Let's go ahead. I mean, Dennis, this is all part of the political culture I keep referring to over and over, that we have come to normalize these things, and we see people doing things in a way that it's not right, but that's what people have been accustomed to. This is how they've done in the past, because the legislature that's supposed to be the gatekeeper here, the moment their share of the deal is expressed to them, they are willing to do anything as long as they guarantee their kickbacks. So this is how we've been operating. This is how we come to end up being to where we are today with this Western cluster deal.
Thank you. And let us not forget the buses.
Yeah, so the buses is also the same thing. The same way how they brought in these affirmation machines. People just come to the president and say, "Oh," and people say, "Oh, the president wants to do the right thing. He wants to make change the country." Yeah, I mean, we all excited about it, but you don't go about doing things this way. Do it the right way. Ask the right institutions to go about it. Don't somebody just go one day, see one of his friends in Ghana or somewhere and say, we need some buses in our country. Is there where we can work around and see how you can bring buses in the country? The next year they run to the country, they run to the president. And then they say, "Oh, buses come to the country." Things don't work that way. And always do it the right way. Let the institutions that are responsible do their work. So if they do their work, and then we see that their work is not, that we can criticize them. But everything in our country, it has to be the president. And so for me, it's in the same story. This president.
Let's come to the financial side. President Boakai declared his asset. He published his asset.
All right.
He also besides public, he also set up the asset recovery team. He appointed an ombudsman for accountability. And we've also learned that he cut his salary by 40%. Based on these things, do you still think Boakai is a baby?
Well, these are steps in the right direction, but for me, like the cutting of the salary, I don't see that thing to be any like a big deal. I mean, presidents to always get the bats and do things they're supposed to do. So for me, that's not a big deal. I mean, yeah, but now you're appointing these institutions, let them work. And, let them work. Let people do their job. And, so if they don't do their job, we can hold them accountable. Well, when you appoint people to do their job and you somebody in your office or you now doing their job for them, then that's not the way to go. Then tell us that you don't believe in your own institutions that the country has. So that's where I have an issue. If you appoint these people, let them do their job, give them the opportunity to do their job, and then you can call them to board if they don't do the right thing. But if you're doing their job for them, then why appoint them to these offices?
Victor, the president cut his salary. The president declared and published his asset.
Yeah.
And the president also set up the asset recovery.
Let me tell you this, Dennis. Let me tell you this. As an educator, right, they always tell you at the beginning of the school year, you norm your classroom, right? You put out how your classroom will be managed if you are in a secondary or primary education classroom, right? You set the tune for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
There are a lot of us who felt that the president missed that opportunity when he failed to declare his asset before he took office. What do we get for that? I don't even think more than 40% of his cabinet ministers have declared, and that's because he did not set the tune. It looks that he's allowing it to voluntary declaration when that is the law. Why is he not making it mandatory? So that fell flat on his face. Why is the president only cutting 40% of his salary? Why didn't he make that mandatory against all his cabinet ministers? He appointed them, I'm going to pay you less than 40%. Either you want it and take the job or you don't take the job.
There you go.
Why is he not challenging the legislature to do the same? Yes, he can't cut the salary, but he can challenge them and shame them. Why can't he do that? That to me would be someone who is conducting business not as usual. This is the kind of thing I applaud him for taking the step, but I think it's a minimalist step. And I always say this, I think he has a good mind, but whenever he attempts to actualize or implement what he intends to achieve, the implementation always falls flat on his face. I don't know what is it. Yes, 40%. I think the commerce minister has followed suit. I'm not sure if any other minister has done so. But yeah, I believe this is something he could have done in the very first few days of his administration. Before he started the appointment, look, Mr. Ja, I'm going to make you superintendent of Sano County. But the superintendent of Sano County is, makes $1,000. But I'm going to pay you $600. Do you want the job or not? And then I would tell you, no, Mr. President, I cannot live on $6,000. Oh, yes, Mr. President, I'm happy. I think that would have made an impact. Why didn't he do it then? Yes, we all make mistakes, but for a president with all the experience, it is very difficult to understand, what is going on with his government. So yeah, the president did that. I commend him for that, but I think it's a 40% reduction 6 months too late.
Mr. Dukley.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with what Brother Nagbe just said.
So based on that, is Boakai a baby because he cut his salary, asset recovery, declare and publish his asset. These are all steps. So or are you saying this one, no, Boakai is not baby? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean those were all good initiatives. I mean, but when you look at the bigger picture in the scheme of things, I don't think the intended what the Raider wanted to achieve with this, it did not, because you can't have the president doing one thing and the cabinet doing something completely different. If he actually meant it as he trying to make us to believe, there should have been a uniform way of doing it. That, like Nagui just said, the entire cabinet, but it's presented as if it's something optional. You do it if you want to. You don't do it if you don't want to do it. So that sort of defeated the purpose, that he was trying to get us to believe. So for me, I mean, yeah, it's a good thing that he's taking a 40% pay cut. But you see, Dennis, the president's official salary is one thing, and all the other perks that come with his position is completely another. That gives him a way of making up whatever 40% is cut from his salary. So in practice, it's really not going to amount to nothing, and so on the face of it, yeah, it looks good or it sounds good, but is that what that's really going to transpire in reality? I doubt it.
Mr. Aliyu, who said Boakai took a pay cut, asset recovery, published and declared his asset, appointed an ombudsman. What does this thing tell you about the leadership of President Boakai 6 months down the road?
Do you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's one of those scenarios, then damn if he do, damn if he don't. Now, I was speaking to someone the other day. I said the public jet got to keep a head up, straight, and just do what he believes is the right thing to do for this country. Boakai cut his pay, not by 10%, not by 15%, not 25%, almost half. They say 6 months too late, even though he got whole 6 years. Okay? They say Joseph Boakai cut his pay. They say even though he cut his pay, but you get extra money from other places then to make money still plenty, so it don't matter. So again, people will talk Dennis. People must talk Dennis. That's what they forced to do. That's what they will do at the end of the day. But we know, some of us who are very optimistic that the old man will do what the Liberian people want, what the people will feel. The people that live in there, the people that in Bongonima, what they will feel is what we're looking forward to seeing the president do. So we will do the talking, but the president will do the job.
Thank you. I want us to touch this part, and then we.
Before you go, let me ask you this. I know the last time you had a graphic of what is the president budget for his office. I'm not talking about his salary.
The president budget for his office about I think 2.3 2.8
That's
million.
where he's supposed to cut the 40%, and not the how much does he make? $300-something thousand.
No, now the number of people working with him when you cut it, how the other people get paid.
All right. That takes us to.
You think that he want here off it? You don't know other people that he gotta pay.
That takes us to.
Some of that money is for entertainment. In case you forgot.
All right.
The money for
doesn't go ahead. That man will never be
some of it is for entertainment.
Boakai launched the Liberian Feed Yourself National Agricultural Development Plan to boost food security and economic growth. President Boakai also launched the new employee status regularization program, unveils new batch of consulting. And then I think there's one more launch that I'm forgetting. So, Mr. Nabwe, still steps in the right direction. This president Boakai not baby, or is Boakai still baby? You think?
He was still Boakai baby.
So, here's the thing: the employee status regularization is supposed to take out the fluff in the budget, but how many consultants will it take, right? Or how many employees will have to go down to pay one consultant? So he's trying to regularize the payroll to take out the fluff or the ghost names, but he's bringing in consultant. Consultant for what? I mean, Josiah Jokai is already doing the job. Why does he need? So I don't know what the net is going to be. I'm hoping. I think it's a good step, but I worry about the consultants because I think they will neutralize whatever gains that would have been made from that process. But again, it's too early. They feed yourself, yeah, it's good, but what did he put in the budget for agriculture? What is he going to use to encourage the people to feed themselves? You're supposed to incentivize the people to feed themselves, right? What is in the budget to incentivize the people? If you say I should go and feed myself, yeah, I'm willing, but suppose I can't buy the implements to go and make the farm. How am I going to
Can I provide information there 1 second?
So no, you may not. I'm still talking.
Okay.
So this president, again, like I continue to say, I think he has big ideas, but I think he really, really, really struggles with the details, how to make the ideas work. And he needs a team around him that will help him make the idea work. The ideas are good, but I think there's a disconnect between actualization of the actual theory. Thank you, Mr. Kamara. You can come in now.
Yeah, look, let me tell you something. The budget that just passed, the first budget of the president, he could not put money in that budget to the amount that you would expect because he had not come up with the agriculture plan that he's supposed to be good. But now, the next budget, watch and see, the assessment and the amount of money that is needed to accomplish what they have formulated will reflect in the budget. That's the basis.
Also, it's announced now, but later on it will be funded. Is that what it is?
What do you mean? The budget passed before this thing was announced.
Okay, so we'll wait until next year to.
We're now waiting for agriculture to next year, but next year, whatever his plan is will be reflected in that budget.
Right.
That's what you should actually speak.
I see.
That,
Thank you.
That plan was not actually crystallized. Was I hope we're going to have something that is more detailed, because what I saw, what I read was all platitudes. It was not really much that we're going to improve this, we're going to do this.
Did you watch the ceremony?
Yes.
Okay. There were a lot of details displayed.
Cover is how much they're going to spend on that, how long it's going to take, what they're going to do when it's not there. It's only okay.
No, but that would be a different face. That's what it was sent to the legislature.
You're interrupting, so I'm not hearing you. Go ahead again. What you say?
I said that's a whole different face. That's what they was sent to the legislature. See, my problem with you, then you don't wait. You're too anxious.
If this is what I do for work, if you are planning, you put out your plan. You don't tell us you have development plan and it's all in platitudes. We hope to improve this. We're going to do this. You know,
those are aspirations.
Right.
I mean, we all have aspirations.
No, I think I listened to that thing. I think it's a beautiful plan. It just I think it's a beautiful plan. I like I just like, I mean, there's a time frame, and that's what you want. You have a time frame, and then you have what you're gonna do within each time, and how much money is going to be used by the government, how much money is going to be spent by the different donors, and how you're going to implement it. Which I thought was beautiful, and I think if that's something that's implemented, it's going to help the country, because if they're going to open the country up, if this is going to supply people fertilizer, they're going to focus on various sectors of agriculture. I think that's something, because when we grew up as kids, I mean, we used to make our own school farms. I remember those days we used to go to the farm, make our own farms, our own gardens as kids. We were so excited about agriculture at the time. So if that's something they're going to do, I think it's going to help the country tremendously. For me, I think it's beautiful. And I'm glad they have a plan, and they're going to work towards that plan, and that's the way to go.
Honest opinion right there.
So based on those plans, the agriculture plan, the CSA plan, and there's one more, I just can't come to my mind.
I think it was a health something on health.
Right. Do you still think Boakai a baby?
No, not in this sense. No, I think in this sense he's in this sense. I wouldn't say he's a baby. I'm glad that he has a plan and how he wants the plan to go and how he's going to fund the plan. In this sense, I think I will commend him, and I think that's the beautiful thing to do, and that's the way to go. If you want to grow the economy of this country, that's the way to go, and I'm glad that he wants to do that.
If you want to join the conversation, 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Our topic, Boakai da Bebe, what the actions or inactions of President Boakai say about his leadership. Mr. Dukley, your turn on those plans.
I think I must say, from all what I've seen and heard, this is probably one of the best that I've seen from this government, except that I don't know how the implementation will look like, but from what is spelled out and the way they kind of presented it, when I saw it, I mean, it looks really, 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 really good, I must admit. You know, I just don't know, you know, like the allocation they had in every area was, it made a lot of sense to me. And it's something that we should expect from our government, but I just don't know when it comes to implementation on the ground, how it really going to come across. But, you know, like I said, it sounds good. It looks good. And it's one of the things that I've seen them do the way that we expect them to do.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Friday night debate. If you want to join the conversation, the number is on the screen: 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#.
So,
In case you are wondering, Boakai, that baby, where does it come from? Let's listen to Ma Noai Gotolo.
Waga na baby, waga get money. Yeah, yaga get fresh man. Yaga get fresh man.
Oh.
Yaga fresh came.
So just a jacket to ask Boakai where you got the money from? I invested it for.
Yes. And I got no right to waga that baby. Huh?
But now president, anything do people sort of know the plane get the money from?
No.
What they may ask
No.
Oh.
No. And that's supposed to be that.
How is it to be?
And that's supposed to be that.
How you think it's supposed to be?
And you cannot get no right to ask Boakai. You must give me the money account or either where you get the money from and blah 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 blah. Wow. Boakai say where you got.
Oh. So like that for money being getting first from?
Yes. The trouble they want from that ass more.
Yeah. The Omar puzzle.
yeah, it's, but that's the country that we have. People question the president.
We don't have callers here. We can conclude.
Yeah,
so we'll go around the room and wrap up based on everything we discussed. And if you look at the 6 months or almost 6 months, it's not 6 months here in total. The question remains: Boakai da baby, Mr. Nabo, you start.
Yeah, the old man there, what she was talking about, I think it started from the fire victims even before the president was inaugurated, where he went and gave, I think 200,000 or so, I'm not sure, bags of rice and some cash. And then, of course, he got in office the $4,500 furniture, and Boakai Yeke was calling him out to explain this. So this is the same thing he's doing. He has not stopped. Private planes here and there, friends sending private jets, now we're talking 285 pieces of yellow machine in the country. He said they are negotiating, okay, but they're already on our soil, they are in our possession. His image and everything have been inscribed on the machines. He's requesting $54 million, and we should wait. He wants us to wait. When he's done and ready, he will come and explain to us what is going on. I think for a contract of that magnitude, I think the president knows better. He should have been very transparent. He has not been, and I think he's doubling down. He writes his letter yesterday when the legislature were trying to grill his implementers of this contract, the Minister of State and his deputy. He circumvented the process and wrote this letter to stop them from going in there to testify on, which I think would have provided a lot more clarification. So, I'm admonishing the president. I think he's doing his best, to actually do something meaningful. But he needs to pay attention to the details. He needs to also respect the rule of law. He cannot be law unto himself. I think that's what he expects us to have him do, because he is the president. He can then go and do whatever he wishes. I don't think that's how it works. It is a democracy. He has to work within the rule of law. If the PPCC say you cannot bring a single source contract in the country, he has to model that. Because that is how his cabinet ministers would then deal. If they see him breaking the law, they will follow through and breach every possible law on the books. That is the danger that we're warning him against. And I think he needs to pay attention. Thank you very much. Great show. Let's do it again.
Thank you. Mr. Aliyu.
Yeah, then is Joseph Boakai have not asked anybody to give him 54 million. Like he said, he's in the process of acquiring. He has not. Again, that's just speculation. Joseph Boakai did not give members of the Senate or the House of Representatives $5,000 for furniture. The people came up over radio and said they took it out of their own budget. The PPCC has not said anything to Boakai about any earth-moving machine. So to say the PPCC said this and Boakai did another thing. Again, see, this is a terrible thing that we do to ourselves. That is, we speculate without having anything in our hand to base our speculation on. Only because we hear it all on different media, so we say we carry it and make big thing out of it. You understand what I'm saying? But then it has been a great show. I want to thank you. I watched your reporters in Liberia. I don't know how you're doing it, how you're paying those people, the 3, 4, 5 people. So however you're doing it, they're not a band, they're not a okay? So you're doing a wonderful job. I think when I say here that we all should find ways to create jobs in our country, and people say this, that, and other, even you debunk it, but at the same time you're doing something else. You say you don't have the condition to create jobs, but you're creating jobs. So I don't know where you stand. Okay? But it has been a great show. Joseph Boakai will do the right thing, and I challenge anyone who believes that Joseph Boakai has broken any law. The PPCC have not uttered a single word. It's Musa Belty and other people who are looking for political relevance. He tried that in the 2023 election because of him coming down from 7% to 1%. They stay pushing him again. That 1% will turn to 0% in the next election if they keep Musa Belty around them. Now, Joseph Boakai again will develop Liberia, will set Liberia on the right trajectory. Joseph Boakai will not listen to the noise in the market. He will not listen to detractors and people who will only see what he has done wrong. And again, the whole age thing, for the 2 year, Joseph Boakai came with people to work with from different backgrounds. Joseph Boakai just does not get up and make decisions. The public minister will advise Joseph Boakai on roads. The justice minister will advise Joseph Boakai on the law, and so on and so forth. That's how government works. Okay? Joseph Boakai will do what he was elected to do by the people, and so be it. We will talk, and you will work. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Father Washington.
You know, if I were elected as a president, my first thing to do would be to focus more on quality than just quantity, because I think this government is trying to do everything just in 6 months to the extent that they make all these mistakes. I mean, he has, for me, I think he has the people on his side state. A lot of people who are excited about some of the decisions he's making, but I think it's that he just needs to do it in the way that is respectable, in a way that is accountable, in the way that shows that he knows what he's doing. And that's where I come from. I mean, some of the things he's doing, I think is good, but some of the other things he's doing, it doesn't show that he knows what he's doing, and that's where we come from. I mean, we have no reason to not commend him when he does the right thing, but if he does it in a way that is sinister, it's not clear, it's not transparent, seems to be from the back door to come in the front door, that's where we're calling out, and I think that's where this president has some issues. So for me, I think if I were to grade him, I would grade him with C+ so far, for the 6 months, and it's been a wonderful show, and I'm glad that we can come on this platform to provide education for our people.
Thank you. Mr. Dugley.
Yeah, I think we have now passed the try and error part of this administration, especially for someone as experienced as Joseph Boakai. And I think deep down, I think he means well for Liberia. But I mean, just meaning well for Liberia is not sufficient in of itself. And so he was given a mandate, and he came with a slogan that he summed up in arrest. And all of those things come with cost. And it reminds me of what Jimmy always says, that you need to put the right people in the right place to do the right thing. It's not just all about being the minister or the president. There are people who are technocrats whose specialty is to get these things done the proper way. And again, because of the bad political culture we have now come to normalize, it's making the president to do things just because he's the president. And we are going to use this platform and others to tell the Liberian people what we think. And so I think that it's incumbent on us as citizens of that land to say things the way we think they should be. you know, and some I will be the first to say some of the flaws that we see per se, it's not Joseph Parker's entirely, but rather it is part of the flaw system that have existed in our country, you know. But overall, I think there are some things that I think he's done right. Like I was talking about what that agriculture plan that we were talking about earlier. So I hope someone is listening. I hope someone is willing to be open-minded. We don't. Nobody is here wishing them to fail, but we keep holding them to task. We'll keep holding their feet to the fire to make sure that they do things the way the Liberian people expect them. And so I want to say thank you, Dennis, for giving us the opportunity, and I want to say thanks to all my fellow panelists for being here tonight.
Thank you. Join us tomorrow at 7:30 for the Library History Channel. We're going to be talking about the engineering, the architecture of our people, the ancient one, the one that we've lost. Somebody sent me a picture. It said, you know, without Western education, all that, we're able to build these roads and very strong, like the pyramid of Egypt, right? Now, when these people came now, we have all the potholes. So what's going on? So we're going to look at those ancient architecture, the one we call Monkey Bridge, the engineering that is in that. We're going to be looking at it. We're going to go through it tomorrow. You want to join us?
Monkey Bridge.
Yeah, and then also, you know, Rita Hall, an award-winning journalist, entrepreneur, and professor of the Cronkite School, will be inducted in the National Association of Black Journalists Hall of Fame. She's an inductee. She's one of the 7 persons. And guess what? She's going to be our guest on the noonday, Sunday at 1 p.m. You don't want to miss that with Priscilla Inanto. Join us. Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for your time on this Friday night debate. I want to thank our viewers, those watching now and those who will watch later. Always, we'd like to close our broadcast by playing the song that says we are all Liberians. Whether you believe Boakai that baby or Boakai is not baby, we are all Liberians. What is incumbent upon all of us is to do our very best to make our country the glorious land of liberty. Have a good night and God bless you.
We are Liberians.